UFC OKC du Plessis versus Usman takes place this Saturday, and these are my quick picks for every single fight on the card. If you do not know, I utilize a checklist breaking down each fight, picking the fighter that is going to win, as well as the method that they do so, and my confidence level. Out of 12 fights on this card, I have 6 locks, so let's get right into it. First fight got added late by the UFC. It's Damien Anderson versus Ezra Elliot, and that is my first lock of the card. Ezra Elliot trains over at Red Hawk Academy with Tim Welch and Sean O'Malley, and this is a fight of grapplers basically, but each guy does have hands. In fact, Damien Anderson calls himself Demon Hands, even though his grappling is way more superior than his striking, and that's why I'm going with Ezra Elliot. Even though he's going to neutralize the grappling of Damien Anderson, he might even be better in the grappling realm as well. He's very aggressive and looks for finishes on the ground with his striking. Both guys are going up a weight class to 145 because of the late notice, and I think that's only going to benefit Elliot here. So he's just as good as a grappler as Anderson. Way better striking and defense than Anderson. Anderson has his hands down, chin out. And yeah, like I said, just more aggressive on the ground. 90% confident that Elliot wins this fight. We move on to the second fight of the night. Anna Melisano versus Diane Barbosa. Melisano is coming in on short notice here, and I think Diana Barbosa wins. It's always hard to pick women's fights. I have a 60% confidence level that this is going to end in a unanimous decision for Barbosa. I just think she's better all around. She can kind of throw heavy shots as well. Similar to Melisano. Melisano's not that bad on the feet. Same thing with kicking. You know, she's not that bad, but Barbosa can kind of even out the striking. And then if it gets to the ground, I think Melisano's going to have a very difficult time dealing with Barbosa, who's kind of a vet in the UFC now. So going to go with her, proven vet. And Melisano's up in a weight class, so I don't think that's going to benefit her at all. We move on. RJ Harris versus Alvin Hines. This fight is close to near evens, and I kind of can't believe that. Alvin Hines is a guy who can somewhat strike. He doesn't mind doing it at heavyweight, but he doesn't have that much power for heavyweight, and his game is more so on the wrestling side of things. He wants to kind of grapple and control you, and I don't see that happening with RJ Harris. RJ Harris is coming in on short notice as well, something to keep in mind, but RJ Harris has a 4-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage on Alvin Hines. His frame is massive, he's fast for heavyweight, and he knocks people out pretty damn easily. I don't think Alvin Hines is going to be able to get this dude down. I don't think he's going to pose a problem to RJ Harris on the feet. I'm 70% confident in this. I would be surprised to see Harris get controlled by Alvin Hines. Harris also looks for some submissions here and there, man. If you leave that head out, he's going to try to get a choke on you, especially if you guys are standing up on the against the cage. So I'm going with RJ Harris here. I just think he's way better striking. Like I said, he would lock in submissions if the opportunity presents itself, and that frame at heavyweight compared to Alvin Hines, I think is going to play a part, and he's much younger. I think the UFC kind of knows what they're doing here. Yeah, RJ Harris gets it done, and I think it's going to be by knockout late round 1. Also, Ezra Elliot was TKO late round 1. Like I said, Barbosa decision, and then RJ Harris late round 1 KO. We move on. Alden Coria versus Stewart Nicoll. This is simple. It's at flyweight. Stewart Nicoll sucks. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. And Alden Coria is a good prospect, man. Just comes off a win against Alessandro Costa and beat him. Costa got injured in that fight as well, but it was Coria who was looking pretty damn good against him. Way more volume. Technical everywhere as well. So Nicoll sucks, like I said. He lost to Alessandro Costa, who Coria beat. He lost to, I think his name's Luis Rocha, and also Jesus Aguilar. And Jesus Aguilar is not bad. He's a scrapper, but good prospects beat Jesus Aguilar. So Coria is just a way better prospect, way better fighter overall, way better technically. And I don't think he's going to have an issue getting this done. He's levels above Nichols. And I kind of see an early round 3 TKO, to be honest. I think he's going to break Nichols down as the fight goes on. And then eventually, that's it. That's it for Nichols. He's gone out of the UFC 4-fight losing streak. 95% confident Coria gets it done. We move on. Felipe Franco versus Levi Rodrigues Jr. Now, this is kind of interesting. Franco's coming down a weight class from heavyweight. This is a light heavyweight fight. Levi Rodrigues has been looking good at light heavyweight. However, his last fight coming off the Dana White Contender Series, where he got a knockout, was turned over to a no contest because he popped for steroids. So when you're predicting these fights, it's kind of hard because now you don't know how this guy looks coming off of, not having steroids. We don't know what his power is going to be like. We don't know how his quickness is going to look. It could be completely different. Guys who come into the UFC seem to slide by on this sometimes, and then all of a sudden they start getting tested by the UFC and they suck because they're not on steroids anymore. So it's going to be kind of interesting, but I do have Levi Rodrigues Jr. getting this done. Felipe Franco is sloppy on the feet. He really doesn't have knockout power. He's trying to control you. He's trying to, have dominant position over you. And I don't see that happening here against Rodrigues Jr. Better striking, absolutely, than Franco. Natural weight class for Rodrigues as well. And when people come down a weight class, I really don't like that. I never think it goes well for them. Franco might look a little bit better at light heavyweight, but Rodrigues being a natural 205er, I think is going to very much help. He also has a great takedown defense, which is Franco's game. So I see this late round 2 TKO from Rodrigues. Like I said, steroids could completely change this, but I don't see it happening. I see a bunch of failed takedowns from Franco and Rodrigues Jr. just ground and pounding him to a TKO. 55% confident that that's what happens. We move on. I'm going to screw this up, but it's the Korean Tyson Seok Ko. Have no idea how to pronounce it. Same thing with this other guy. He's facing John Paul Lebosnoyani. Whatever. JPL, we're calling him. Close fight. I think this is going to be a really close fight. I think it's going to be a banger of a fight, to be honest, but I think Hyeon Ko, the Korean Tyson, is just a little bit more well-rounded overall here, and I think that's what's going to make him win this fight. I think it's going to be a split decision, and what I see here is JBL getting a lot of potential finishes, like getting a lot of submissions maybe, while Ko holds him down in dominant position. Ko might also get a couple cracks at a submission. One of these guys are probably going to wobble each other. I think each of them is going to wobble each other, to be honest. I think both of them are going to be catching each other, and it's going to be on the feet and on the ground. It's going to be a close fight. And but I just think Hyeon Ko is a little bit more well-rounded. I think he's going to be able to slow down the pace of JBL. JBL has a lot of he's more aggressive, definitely more output, but I think that's going to kind of play into Hyeon Ko's game here. He's going to slow him down, and he's very explosive as a counter striker, which I think is also going to help. JBL gets a little reckless at times. So I think the Korean Tyson pulls this out. I'm about a 55% confidence level, to be honest, though, because it is going to be that close of a fight, I think. It's going to be a crazy fight. It's going to kind of get the crowd into it because this card is not that great overall. But we'll see what happens, man. I think the Korean Tyson gets it done, though. He's undefeated in the UFC. Going to be a sleeper of a fight, though. We move on. Another fight where I'm kind of confused that this is a pick'em. I have a lock for Jose Delgado being an Austin Bashi. Call me crazy. I don't think Austin Bashi is going to have anything on the feet for Jose Delgado, and I don't think he'll have anything for him on the ground. Jose Delgado's coming off a war with Andre Fili where they were on the ground, they were on the feet, each guy cracking each other. It was a great fight, and Jose Delgado edged it out. I just think with Jose Delgado having a 5-inch reach or a 4-inch reach advantage, 5-inch in height, and that frame advantage is just not going to cause problems. That it's Austin Bashi's not going to be able to get in on the takedowns. He's not going to be able to control Jose Delgado on the feet, and that is Bashi's game, man. He's a grappler. He's looking for takedowns. He has like 2 strikes a minute. Nothing's dangerous. His ground and pound might be dangerous if you want to look at it like that, but I don't think Jose Delgado is going to be controlled by this dude whatsoever. Jose Delgado is a prospect that it's hard to predict his fights. I just don't see it in this. I almost think it's a step up in competition for Austin Bashi. I think this is a little bit too much too soon, even though they're both relatively young. And it's just a danger aspect, man. That's the damage factor is the number one criteria for winning a fight. And I think Delgado is going to put it on Bashi. So yeah, 7-1 strikes per minute, by the way, Delgado to Bashi. Bashi does have 7-1 takedowns on him. I just don't see him taking down Delgado that much, man. And if he does, he's not controlling him. No damage to Delgado. Delgado does all the damage in this fight. Early round 3 KO from Delgado here, and I'm 90% confident on it. And I have it in early round 3. We move on. Tommy McMillen versus Alberto Montes. This is a close fight, near evens. I don't think this is a lock necessarily, but Tommy McMillen kind of owns the checklist when I break down this fight. And thinking about it, it kind of makes sense. McMillen's amazing on the feet. Another guy from Red Hawk Academy, trains with Sean O'Malley. You're going to get better at striking. Alberto Montes, man, his specialty is getting an anaconda choke. And when you're looking for a fighter or when you're about to bet on a fighter or pick a fighter that really only has one option of winning, it's kind of sketchy to do. Tommy McMillen throws a lot of punches. He's danger on the feet at all times. He's got power in his hands. And also what I found out was Alberto Montes, it's one of those things where it's a striker versus a grappler, but Tommy McMillen has a folk-style wrestling base. That was his first martial arts. That was interesting to hear. I think his takedown defense is going to be good, and if it does get to the ground, I can't see him holding his neck out where Montes can take advantage. So I think he's going to be able to neutralize Montes on the ground if it does get there. And if it's on the feet, Montes throws single punches. He's looking for a kind of a counter strike. He's very safe on the feet. I think McMillen's going to expose him on the feet. So aggressive, high output from McMillen is going to win him this fight. More tools in the bag than Montes. And like I said, he neutralizes Montes on the ground if it does get there. 75% confident. I think it's a unanimous decision, though. At featherweight, not many finishes. I think McMillen just pieces him apart for 3 rounds. 75% confident. We move on. Another lock on the card. I hate picking women's fighters as locks. I just did it with Tracy Cortez, and she got absolutely whooped. But I'm a little bit more confident in this one, to be honest. Late notice, Tabatha Ricci is stepping in here. It was supposed to be Amanda Ribas for Fatima Kline here. And Kline's nasty. She's a good women's prospect. She has a 5-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage. That should tell you a lot. Because Tabatha Ricci kind of wants to push you up against the cage. She wants to kind of get these judo throws on you. And she's going to look like a very small person compared to Fatima Kline, who's nasty and aggressive everywhere. So she's going to outpace Ricci in this fight. She has better striking, aggressive jiu-jitsu when she's on the ground. She's looking for finishes. She's exciting, man, for a women's prospect. I'll give her it. And Tabatha Ricci's kind of cringe, to be honest. Doesn't really play a part in fighting, I guess, but kind of cringe with the whole baby shark thing. She's decent looking, so the UFC likes her, but she's just, I don't think she's on the level of Fatima Kline, to be quite honest with you. And I just see this as a lock of the card for Kline, man. 80% confident only because it is a women's fight, but I just think she's better everywhere than Ricci. And I just think Ricci trying to get this woman who is massive compared to her down using judo is not going to be easy. So Fatima Kline gets the win. We move on to the next fight. Chase Hooper versus Mitch Ramirez. Another lock on the card, man. It's 12 fights. I have 6 locks on this card. Sometimes these cards are just too easy to pick, I think. I think they're just way too... You would have to have miracles of upsets for some of these fighters to lose. And some of these fights, the UFC knows what they're doing, and they're trying to promote their guys who they want to see win. And this is one of those fights. They see something in Chase Hooper that I don't think a lot of us do. Chase Hooper is amazing on the ground. I personally think he would be better off in UFC BJJ, but because he's just kind of, I don't know. He's not, I don't want to call him weak, but he just doesn't have that like fighter body or fighter aggressiveness or power or anything on the feet. He just seems like he can get overwhelmed quite easily. He's very young. By this, I just think he can get very overwhelmed very fast. However, I'm picking him to win this fight. After all that crap I just said about him, I'm picking him to win this fight because Mitch Ramirez sucks. Mitch Ramirez should not be in the UFC. I have no idea why he gets fights outside the fact that the UFC goes, okay, this is a loss. This is a layup matchup for Chase Hooper. The reason being is because Mitch Ramirez is terrible on the ground. He has no takedown defense. He has no defensive ability to when he grapples. He is going to leave so many openings for Chase Hooper. I have Chase Hooper getting this done late round 1 by submission. And it's going to be that easy. I think Chase Hooper, he's huge. He has a huge, I think he has a pretty good height advantage on him. He's lanky for the division. He's going to probably strike with him a couple times on the feet for like the first minute and a half. He's going to get a takedown, and that's going to be it. That's going to be it. There's no threat from Mitch Ramirez whatsoever. On the feet, on the ground, nothing. Hooper's going to have his way with him. I'm 95% confident in a submission late round 1 for Chase Hooper. And then we'll see if he bounces back after that. You know, we'll see how he does from here on out. But he's been highly questionable as a prospect for now. We move on. Jared Cannonier, the aging wonder. They're the ageless wonder, I guess. Jared Cannonier, man. What is it? The something Gorilla is his nickname. I forget. CLD, Christian Leroy Duncan, is who he is facing. Co-main event at middleweight. I got CLD. CLD is a great striker, more of a sniper on the feet, more of a counter striker than, you know, a lot of output or volume. But CLD, man, again, I was thinking about this fight, breaking it down, thinking Cannonier just seems to cause trouble for these guys. He just came off of a win against Gregory Rodrigues, who's been looking great lately, and he beat him in round 4. It was a main event at the Apex, I believe. And somehow Cannonier pulled that fight out. He is a dog. I'll give him that. He's 42 years old and still going. I don't even think this is his last fight of the contract or his last fight in the UFC, which is pretty amazing because he's been in wars. You know, he even fought for a title against Adesanya a couple of years ago, which a lot of people forget because it was such a boring fight. But I got CLD in this fight, man. I think 3 rounds is going to be way more beneficial for CLD than Jared Cannonier. More of a slow builder into a fight is Jared Cannonier. CLD is going to be way faster for him on the feet. And Jared Cannonier, his path to victory here is going to be slowing down Christian Leroy Duncan on the outside and kind of grinding out a win. You know, doing a little bit of clinch work. I don't see it. CLD, not much of a frame advantage, but, you know, decent 2-inch height, 2-inch reach. 12 years younger, like I said, that's going to have to play a part at some point in Cannonier's fights. And like I said, CLD is just going to be way faster on the feet. I think he's going to dictate where this fight is, which is most likely going to be in the center of the cage. CLD is going to bounce around. Cannonier can't catch him and slow him down. And then the 3 rounds, I think CLD puts a little bit of a hurting on Cannonier throughout these 3 rounds. And he's been looking good lately. I did not think CLD was going to beat Marco Tulio. I thought Tulio was a little bit better of a prospect all around. But CLD's been looking good, man. I think he's on a 3-fight win streak now. And I think he's on a 2-fight finishing streak as well with TKOs. And I don't necessarily see that here because Cannonier is that much of a dog. He is durable. He stays into these fights somehow, but I think CLD is going to beat him up for 3 rounds, unanimous decision, and I am 75% confident on that because you never know, man. CLD could just get pushed up against the cage with some of these fights. I just don't see it, though. I think he's way too fast. Again, I think the UFC knows what they're doing here. They see a young, up-and-coming middleweight against the old, aging middleweight, and something's got to give at some point. CLD is very technical. I think he pulls this out. Main event is my last lock in the card, the 6th lock on the card. I broke this down earlier, a couple weeks ago when the fight was announced, because the fight, I think it was like a month ago that this fight was announced as the main event for UFC OKC, Oklahoma City. And I think what happened was they know Kamaru Usman, this is his last fight. Kamaru Usman's, I think he went to college in Nebraska. He's somewhat from that area. He's from Africa, obviously, but then when he came over here, he was over there for in Nebraska a lot. And Oklahoma City is kind of close to Nebraska. I think this is a little bit of a farewell tour for him, a farewell fight. I don't see in any way how Kamaru Usman pulls this out. Kamaru Usman has great boxing, has a great jab. We've seen it knock down people before. He had a hell of a fight against Chimaev at middleweight, where he was very durable. He almost won that fight, to be honest. And Chimaev kind of gassed out Usman. If it went another round or 2, Usman might win. But I just don't see this, man. Usman has not been that active. DDP obviously coming off a loss to Chimaev. Chimaev's a different wrestler, man. He's talking about how he wanted to face Kamaru Usman because of the wrestling. Usman ain't that guy. Usman is not that kind of wrestler. He can wrestle. It ain't like Chimaev. So this is a good idea for DDP. It's a huge name in Kamaru Usman, one of the best of all time, at welterweight at least. And it was smart for him to move up to middleweight. Usman wants to impose his will. He wants to be more powerful than you. He wants to be pushing you up against the cage and trying to be dominant, trying to put dominance on the opponents that he faces. That is not the game plan against DDP. He's massive for middleweight. He has way more power at middleweight than Usman does. Although his striking is questionable, it seems to work out well. He beat Sean Strickland, who's you can barely touch. Sean Strickland has that unique guard, and DDP still was touching him up, making Strickland's face bloody. DDP, for as odd as his striking is, it works for him. So he's going to be on the feet. I think he can piece up Usman. Usman's going to have some trouble dealing with that unorthodox style of Du Plessis. And if it goes to the ground, I just think DDP is going to outpower him, man. I don't think this has anything to do with technical ability. I see DDP having so much more power and strength than Kamaru Usman in this fight. That's going to be easy for him. And I don't want to be disrespectful to Kamaru Usman, but really, it seems like that's what's going to happen. I think he wants to try to fight DDP because of all the African comments that he made to Adesanya way back then. And so it's another battle of Africa. DDP's from South Africa, Kamaru Usman from Nigeria, same thing with Adesanya. And we saw DDP, what he did to Adesanya. I think it's going to be a TKO early round 3. I think Usman, I have to think that this is his last fight. And I think because of that, he's going to have more motivation to kind of stay in there, grit it out. Eventually, it's going to break to DDP's power. And his pace is great. His cardio is great for 5 rounds, 3 rounds, whatever. It's 5-round fight, but DDP has amazing cardio, man. I don't see Usman being able to stick up with the pace. His knees are shot, which is another huge issue for him because he's been in wars. He's aged so much in the UFC. He's been in there for a while, man. He's a veteran. I just think this is a perfect matchup for DDP right now. Great way to get back into the middleweight picture and be a former champion at welterweight and just, like, again, a big name. So I think the strength of DDP is just going to get this one, man. I think he's just going to be better everywhere. If the fight ends earlier, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. I don't see DDP getting jabbed by Usman and dropping. I just don't. So no threat from Kamaru Usman here. DDP is going to be able to control where this fight goes. He might even be able to end it when he decides. So that's it. Not the greatest card. Great main event. I think there are a couple sleepers on the card that are going to be good fights. Oklahoma City's kind of known for being loud, for bringing a lot of energy. So hopefully they do it with the fights and we see a lot of finishes. But other than that, DDP is winning this main event. Kamaru Usman gets sent in the retirement. Like, comment, and subscribe who you got. And we'll be back Saturday for these fights. See you all later. Take it easy.